is Alfie, and today we're going to be discussing the over-sexualization of teens in teen TV shows.
And be warned, this may be upsetting for some viewers.
Teen TV shows, why do we love them so much? From Sex Education to Teen Wolf, these shows have taken over the world.
But today we're here to discuss some underlying issues with these shows that are not usually spoken about in the media.
While we all love these shows, the fact that these teenagers are played by adults just so the producers can include sex scenes can make teenagers feel insecure about their own bodies as they are comparing themselves to adult bodies.
Later in the show, we'll go to our interviewer, Adenike Adebayo, who will be interviewing an actor.
Older actors have more mature body parts than teenagers, and this causes teenagers to unfairly judge their bodies against what they see on TV shows. It sets an unrealistic representation for teens for how teens actually act in real life.
But if you really think about it, Thomas, the film industry knows what they're doing by casting adult actors to play in these highly sexual scenes. The adult actors can consent to play in these roles because they're adults. However, the character they're playing in reality would not be able to do this in real life. For example, the TV show Pretty Little Liars shows a student having a sexual relationship with a teacher. At the end of the series, they eventually get married when the student Aria becomes an adult.
The first problem we have with this is why this was normalised in the show, because if this was in real life, this would send major red flags to the families and be highly inappropriate. The second problem is how the show's teenage fans actually shipped these two together and even made t-shirts, like actual t-shirts. Now the obvious problem about this is teenagers seeing this type of relationship as normal when in reality it's toxic and unhealthy.
I mean, hello, where's the police in all of this?
And it's not just in this TV show, it's in a vast variety of shows and films like Riverdale, Gossip Girl, Mean Girls, My Teacher, My Obsession and many more.
I think the solution for some of the problems in these TV shows is to cut or reduce the amount of sexual scenes in these shows, as it can set unrealistic ideas for actual teenagers and make them body conscious and normalise sexual encounters with older people.
Now we'll be switching over to Adenike, who will be interviewing an older actor and getting their opinion on this topic.
Hi, I'm Adenike Adebayo, and I'm going to be interviewing an adult actor who's played in various teen TV shows about the sexualization of teens and adult actors in teen TV shows. Warning, some viewers may find the following scenes upsetting. So Tommy, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Okay, so first of all, do you like teen TV shows?
I've watched a few, and the one that I've enjoyed the most has been Sex Education because it came out recently, so I got to watch the whole thing, all 3 seasons. Out of all the ones that I've watched, I'd probably say that was the most enjoyable. So,
Okay. Yeah. So how do you think teens are presented in teen TV shows?
I think that a lot of the time they're portrayed as inaccurate figures, because if you take what teens are in real life and then compare them sometimes to what they're portrayed as in the TV shows or the films, you can often pick out inaccuracies, like they might look older, they might act older. Often in American shows they drive cars where maybe in other countries they won't. Stuff like that, and of course the over-sexualisation of them could be a standpoint that is a lot.
What do you think about sex scenes in teen TV shows?
I think that because they're played by adult actors or actresses, I think the producers and developers and directors and all that, they might let it slide, whereas other people, including myself a little bit, would think that they're portraying teen characters, so I think it's a bit dodgy, a bit wrong in my opinion. Because if you actually think about it, like they're portraying, like in Sex Education, it was stated in the early stages of the show that the characters were around 16, 17. Obviously there was a lot of scenes, explicit scenes in that show. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a controversial topic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you think sex scenes in teen TV shows sometimes are too much?
I think in a lot of shows they probably are a bit overused. In a show like Sex Education, obviously that's the premise of the show, but I do think there was a few times in the show where it could have been sort of taken down a level, because we sometimes need to get a bit too much.
Yeah. Do you think girls are more sexualized in these shows than boys?
I think yes. Obviously boys do get sexualised sometimes, but I think girls probably the more so, not targeted, but given that role.
Yeah. What do you think about adult actors playing teen actors?
I think if you're in a show where there's no explicit scenes, there's no, you know, it's just like a normal family-friendly show, I think I would agree with it.
Yeah.
I think that's just completely normal, because obviously maybe you want to get teen actors, maybe teen actors aren't as experienced as the adult actors. So in that case, I would think, yes, do it. But if you're going to get them to do explicit scenes where the audience know that they're playing teen roles, underage roles, but under 18, so I think that might need to be like covered more, or like spoke about more.
Yeah. Do you think it contributes to the number of sex scenes that might be in the show since they're an adult actor?
Yeah, because they have that freedom because they're adults.
Yeah.
So I think that they just will go, like, because they're adults, they can just do it, and we won't get no backlash for it.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously if you actually knew like the background of the actual characters in the show, then it might seem a bit weird.
Definitely, because if like teens would like perform in sex scenes, then obviously it would be very controversial.
Yeah.
And it will obviously, I think, be illegal as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. And overall, do you think sex scenes should be included in teen TV shows?
I think if I know I keep going back to sex education,
Yeah.
but because I've watched it recently, I know quite a lot about it. And although the premise of the show is all about that topic,
Yeah.
the scenes that were in it were quite explicit
Yeah.
for characters that were meant to be in the age range of 16, 17,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So maybe if they had, still keep the scenes in there, but don't have them as explicit as they were.
Yeah.
But in other shows, perhaps like family-friendly shows, then maybe not.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your time. Now we're going to go back to the studio.